Hey guys, welcome, welcome. Natalie Cutler Welsh here from Go To Girl. And today I'm super excited to do another episode in my Impact Entrepreneur series. And I'm talking today with Nikki Perry from Awesome Inc. Hey, Nikki.
Hey.
Awesome to have you here. So today we're going to be talking about gratitude because if you guys haven't met Nikki, she is all about gratitude and has these amazing gratitude journals. So I'd love to kick things off. We're going to talk about using gratitude to build resilience. We all know that having resilience in life is one of those crucial skills, more and more every day it seems. So Nikki, can you kick things off? Give us a little bit of backstory around, well, what is Awesome Inc. and how did you get to this point?
Right. Well, I founded Awesome Inc. I think it was 2015 now. So a friend of mine who had used gratitude for many years asked me to create a gratitude journal for her. So we ended up starting a business together, and because we were blogging at the time, I think that's how I met you, Nat. And we were trying to monetize the blog. So we were looking at products, and I'm a graphic designer. I've always been really interested in psychology, and so that has kind of piqued my interest more getting into gratitude and from the science perspective. So I created a gratitude journal for my friend Bex, and we created a business out of it, and it just took off from there. And the more I started looking into it, the more I realized how beneficial things like gratitude and kindness and compassion and all those things are for our mental health, our mental fitness. So I took over the business last year, and just continuing on the same vein. So I've created a new journal that I call the Resilient Me journal. So it's a lot more based in science, behind lots of different tools around building resilience, but gratitude is still that core basis of the journal. So that's, the daily stuff in there. Yeah.
Can they give us a sneak peek at any stage?
Ooh. So this is one of the new ones. I've got two here to show you: Happy Thoughts and Game Changer. So these are two of my my newer ones. And I also do teen journals and kids journals as well. So the teen journals are along the same vein, a lot more information. So not just a gratitude journal, there's a lot more, tools and techniques in there around, the whole well-being, things like connection and mindfulness, and lots of stuff around building resilience.
I think that's really important that a lot of the stuff in there there's enough space for you to just kind of free flow, but also prompted. Is that what you mean by tips and tools and things? Because sometimes people are like, I know gratitude journals are good for me. I don't know what to write. I find it a lot of pressure. So the fact that, I don't know if you can open a page and show us, but
so I call them a guided journal. So there's lots of information in there, firstly around why gratitude is so good for you, so the science behind it, and it's all based on positive psychology. And also, I'll just show you a page here. I'm sure you can see that. So, there's space for gratitude here. And then we've got prompts about creating healthy habits. So they're around sleep, movement, relaxation, and connection. So things like meditation, connecting with people, that's so important. It keeps coming up again and again and again. Meaningful connections are so important for our mental fitness. So things like positive affirmations, and then a happiness scale on the side. So the idea is that you can flip back through and get an idea of what your moods have been like. So like a mood tracker. And there's inspirational quotes. And then on every, I think, fifth page, I have, and this is new for these new journals, are what went right this week. So we're reflecting on the strengths, things that happened. So focusing on what went right rather than what went wrong. And that's another way of retraining the brain to focus on that positive. And again, down the bottom here about writing down what your strengths have been in the week. So there's lots of science coming out about, it's called a strengths-based approach. And that's, just really important. The same as focusing on the good with gratitude, it's focusing on what you're good at rather than what you're not good at. Because, as humans, we have this predisposed condition to focus on what's going wrong. It's kind of how we've survived, how we've gone from caveman not being chased by saber-toothed tigers or whatever. So, it's in our best interest to focus on where the danger is. But, in today's world, if we focus on those things, there's so much stress, so much overstimulation that we're too focused on it, and it becomes too encompassing, and that's why I think, there's lots of stuff coming out about why, teens and kids and there's so much mental health problems in society today, because we're just too overwhelmed with, too stressed. There's too many dangers, and we're not focusing on those good things that happen to us, those things we take for granted. So it's just a really, I was talking to somebody early today talking about how, journaling is, scientists say it's the number one way to retrain your brain. So it's just a really simple tool that you can use.
Yeah, and I think that's so important that you have the kids journals as well, because it's not just the adults, although it's so good for the adults to do, for the kids to also make that time, make that space. Do you find people are actually, like certain times of the day, do they make it part of their daily ritual to journal, like, in the morning, or like when do families actually put it in generally?
Yeah, well, I find it's obviously it's unique to everyone, how it fits into their routine. But the important thing to note, I think, is that the science actually tells us that by doing it every day, it becomes a chore, and it becomes one of those just things we do. So it's actually a lot more effective if you do it 3 to 4 times a week. So, and again, it doesn't matter what time of day you do it, or whether you do a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening, or all at once. It's as long as, and it's not all like I like to do with my family. Sometimes, I've got 2 boys and they don't like to sit still and write, so we bring it in other things. So around the dinner table, talking about what went right in their day, or who they were kind to today, or who was kind to them, things like that. So it's bringing in those little snippets of gratitude throughout the day as well that are really effective. So, if you do have a child that doesn't like to write, well, you can do it with them, set aside some time and try and get into that habit. But, that's my passion is, we've got mental health issues in my family, and I'm really conscious that I want to set my boys up with those tools, so that, when shit stuff happens, because let's be honest, it happens in everyone's life at some stage. We're faced with disappointments, setbacks, traumas. They're gonna face adversity. So by giving them the tools that they can work through when they're okay, or when they're not facing it, they learn more about it, and they already have those tools. So then the idea is that they come out stronger. They learn from the things that happen to them rather than let it bring them down. So that's my passion behind it, and teaching it to kids. But I mean, resilience can be taught at any age. It's one of those amazing kind of neuroscience things. We can retrain our brain. You're not fixed into this negative state. You can make positive changes at any age.
And you and I, being in business, I was having a chat with someone this morning, and we talked about, in business, or even if someone's not in business, a new job, a new relationship, you go through this kind of honeymoon phase where it's exciting and new. And then you get to this phase where it's like harder than I thought, or it feels like a lot more work, or why isn't it as easy as it was in the beginning? And I think having resilience and knowing when to, dust yourself off and move on, and other times knowing how to rally your enthusiasm and move forward. And other times, I think, allowing yourself to sit in the frustration or the sadness or whatever. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, as a business owner, like we said, you and I met when we were bloggers. I was writing a book, I had a blog, and you were a graphic designer as well. And now we've gone in these interesting paths. What are your thoughts for business owners in terms of resilience and gratitude and things?
Well, yeah, it's so true, because often, when something happens, like a setback happens, we're like, oh, well, that's that, it's not going to work, or that's real fixed mindset. So by you can incorporate it into all different aspects of your life. It's around setting goals, and we dream of doing certain things and we think it's unachievable, but if you make those small steps, you can achieve what your goals are. And that's what I found. I remember writing down, I did one of those manifestation exercises where I wrote down, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, that I wanted to use my graphic design skills to help people. I had no idea how I was going to be able to do that. It didn't, at the time I was doing party printables,
Yeah, I remember that.
Where you buy a design and you plug in your own information and print it out. That was what I was doing, and that's kind of what I thought how I was going to help people. So it's kind of, by doing that exercise, and it allows you to set those small intentions to actually achieve what you want to achieve. So, the coming back to the resilience thing, it's all part of it. The setting goals, the mindset. It's all part of building that resilience and allowing yourself the space to actually go, okay, well, I've had that setback. I'm going to learn from that, and I'll try something new, or I'll try again. And it's just giving yourself permission to make mistakes and to know that actually that's okay. It's part of the learning process. And, it's the same way we talk to our kids. It's exactly the same, try again. If you practice, you will get better, or you will get stronger, and it's the same in business. So it's a really it all kind of marries up together, my different focuses. So I work with business people who use my tools in their own businesses and things like that. So, and schools and things, using my kids' journals to teach kids positive thinking and kindness and that growth mindset, all that kind of stuff. So it's all related.
I love that you just mentioned fixed mindset and growth mindset there, because I think it sounds to me like just the habit of doing the journals, like you said, retraining your brain, it sounds like it can actually help people to be more or have more of a growth mindset, even if that's not their natural way, because they're suddenly starting to, as you said, see the good, look at their strengths, not just focus on what didn't work. So, are you...
And it's something we talk to our kids about. It's like, it's not you can't do it, it's that you can't do it yet. And it's that yet that is the important thing. That's how you change your mindset and to begin with, it feels really forced and it feels really unnatural, but it's like that whole fake it till you make it idea, with the like positive affirmations and things you write down. Like I write down things like, I'm so happy and grateful that my business is a success. And, I might be struggling at times, but, I'm writing it down, and I'm like, I'm training myself to think that way, to think successful, and to write down my positive affirmations that, I do know what I'm talking about. I am an expert in my field. I am successful and happy and healthy. And, the more you tell yourself those things, the more you will start to believe it. Because in reality, your brain doesn't know the difference. And it's the same. There's another example I can't think of, but it's that, as I said, the whole fake it till you make it idea, and it's so true. Just to flip that idea around, that flipping, that you might not be. Actually, there's one thing I'm putting in my kids' journal at the moment, is that, the reaction your body has when you're anxious or when you're worried is the same physical reaction as when you're excited. So by telling yourself, I'm excited, rather than I'm really nervous, it just flips the whole idea around things. So, if you're going up to do some public speaking, I'm really excited, that whole power pose thing, that getting in the moment, you're telling your brain, well, actually, I'm not nervous, I'm not worried, I'm really excited that this is going to go so well, because it is that same physiological response. The sweaty palms,
it's like relabeling. It's relabeling what you normally would think is a bad thing. And so, I'm not exactly maybe fake it till you make it, but reframing or rephrasing, because I have this obsession right now. I've actually got a book that I'm working on in my own mind, which is Change Your Language, Change Your Life. And I really think that by just tweaking the languaging that we're using, like you just did then, oh, I'm so nervous, oh, I'm really excited, it changes the energy. And you're right, it's exactly the same physical response, but the emotion is so different with that positive word change.
Yeah. So if you're focusing on, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm never going to do it, it's too hard, that's like self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what's going to happen. But if you flip that switch to, no, I'm just excited, it's going to be really awesome, it just changes your whole it's an attitude change. And so it's that mindset that things are going to go right rather than go wrong, or you're going to avoid a negative outcome. So that's what, part of gratitude is, being grateful for not what didn't happen, but that you avoided something happening that would have been, had an adverse effect or whatever. So yeah, it's just, yeah, as you said, that flipping of that mindset.
Yeah. So we want to know, you guys, comment below. Let us know if you're doing some of these things. And I love that you said it doesn't have to be in our daily life. Like you said, sometimes 3 times a week is almost better than daily. But also you mentioned how we can kind of weave it in here and there, like dinner table or bedtime. Some people might have heard me say that me and my 8-year-old boy, we play What Went Well every night, or most nights, not every night actually, where I'll just say, hey, buddy, what went well today? And we go, 3 things. And he gets really into that. And again, that's really honing in, what you magnify manifests, what you focus on festers, what you believe you achieve. And so we're focusing on what went well that day. And he loves to hear my version of what went well that day as well. Whereas the 10-year-old, not quite into that so much. So we do kind of different things. My daughter, we went away recently on a family holiday, and we decided to have a daily journal that we would write in. She was super into it, whereas the boys weren't really into it. So I feel like you just cater to what works with the child.
Yeah.
Doing gratitudes and focusing on the strengths in your own way. So yeah, you guys comment below. We want to know what's been working for you, and how have you incorporated gratitudes in your life to help you through day to day, or even specifically a hard time. Nikki, I'd love to hear from you as well. Has there been a time in your life, when you really had to call on your resilience, and what was it that kind of helped you through? Do you have a little story you want to share, anything like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard. I mean, my story around mental health is not my story to tell. I'm a support person to quite a few, a couple of family members that have had quite intense experiences with their own mental health. So I'm a support person to them. So it's hard, you say in business, especially small business, people want to hear your story, as you're asking, but, I'm quite private about how I share things, because, it's not my story to tell. And, but I try and tell it in terms of how it's changed me in how I relate to people with mental health, because, and I didn't think I'd ever had issues with my own mental health, but actually in doing the research and especially in anxiety, I realized that actually I at times have quite intense anxiety. But I've always been able to flip that switch. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones, is that I'm able to rationally talk myself out of a situation. And, by learning those extra tools, so the meditation, the mindset stuff, and the flipping the switch and challenging those negative thoughts, I'm able to actually get out of that a lot faster. And even though the people I support, they don't always like to hear what is a simple solution. They're stuck in their negativity or whatever. So it's like has that rebound effect. If I'm using more gratitude and those simple tools in my life, it's bouncing off those people, and I'm finding it's having an effect into their how they're helping themselves. Because at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want help, they're not going to get help. You can give all the resources and provide all the help you want, but that person has got to be the one that wants, at the end of the day, really wants that help. So you can do that. You can give all the information, you can provide all the tools, but as a support person, you just have to be there, and you just have to validate that their feelings are normal, and that it's okay to talk about it, that not to shut it down and not to just ignore it hoping it'll go away. So that's kind of been my story, in that it's helped me to open up the conversations, which has then allowed those people to then help themselves. So it's a little bit of a delicate subject, and it is a reason, the reason why I am so passionate, because there's two main people in my life that have had pretty serious mental health issues. So yeah, it's a hard one. You want to be able to fix people, but they've got to want to help themselves.
Well, I think you brought up something so important, which is, I think actually most people, if they think about it, know a couple of people in their life who have been touched by mental health issues. And some of us, like myself, I'm like, I don't really know the best way to approach this. And so it's great to hear from someone like you, who is a support person, who's done their homework, who knows what, to a certain extent, what works, what doesn't work. But I agree. I think sometimes some people will say, oh, it's easy for you to say, or lucky for some, do a couple exercises in the book and you feel positive again. Not everyone's going to feel that way. We totally get that. So yeah, and
what I say, about my journals is they're a before crisis tool. If you're in crisis, you need more than a journal. You need that, whether it's medication or counseling or whatever. But for those people that are wanting to, and we talk about it all the time, that improving your mental fitness is just as important as your physical fitness, and it's getting people to realize that. And by doing those simple things like the meditation, the being conscious of your mindset, the movement, the nutrition, all those things all feed into your mental fitness. And the books are just a tool to help you, improve, to strengthen that mental fitness. So I don't like to say illness, because everybody has different mental different states of mental health. So yeah, I like to say
I know, I like the way I keep saying mental health, and you said mental fitness, and I think that's cool. I think you're right.
Actually, I was having a conversation with Jimmy Hunt, who, have you heard of him? The world's biggest water slide. He calls himself a mental health change maker. So we met up a couple of weeks ago, and it's interesting getting the perspective from a man, because my audience, they're 99% women, and they're women, with, like me, with young children. So it's interesting to get that male perspective on how they see it, because a lot of men in their 40s, they're closed off emotionally. They don't talk about it. They just get on with it. And that's part of the problem, and teaching that to our kids, that it is weak to talk about your feelings, So it's mental fitness was something he kept saying, that it's just, it changes that conversation. It's not the same as physical fitness. It is mental fit. It's improving your mental fitness. So yeah, I thought that was a really great phrase.
It
so
is.
latched onto it.
If kids can start seeing things like that as well. So not only do they have, like soccer practice and dance class and whatever, but it's like also working on their mental fitness becomes something that just what you do in your own way. I think that's going to change that's going to trickle up.
Yeah, for us as parents, it's role modeling that behavior. So that's so important. Kids learn from watching and from seeing what you're doing. So if you're not looking after your own mental fitness, they're not going to see the importance of it, So it's so important. And that's one thing I found in, wanting to teach my boys, because there is such a strong, cousins and grandparents and things with mental illnesses, that it's important that, they do have that high genetic predisposition to it. So I want to give them those tools and teach them as young as possible, so it's natural to them. And the way I can do that the best is by talking about it, bringing it into everyday life, and really role modeling that behavior to them. So my husband and I try and do that as much as possible.
So there'll be other people listening that also feel like you about the being predisposed or having children that are predisposed. So is that something that actually can really make a difference? Is starting off those habits and those mental fitness exercises?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a study from a lady called Sonia Lieber-Mirsky, and she's actually written a book. I've got it on my bookcase up here, called The How of Happiness. And so studies she did, I think about 10 years ago, what they found, her and her colleagues found that 10% of our happiness is down to our circumstances. So what we face, you know, how the you know, whether we're born into poverty or a rich household, you know, that kind of thing. 50% is genetic predisposition. So, you know, and you know that is like some people just are naturally happier than other people. So that's our genetic predisposition. That's what we call our baseline happiness. So that leaves us with 40%, which is down to intentional activity. So that's our behavior, our mindset, and our attitude. So, and that's huge when you think about it that way, that you know, your happiness, you have control over 40% of your overall happiness. So it comes down to, you know, changing your attitude, changing your mindset, changing your behaviors, getting those healthy habits to look after yourself. It's so important, and it can have, you know, you kind of think, oh, well, this is just my lot in life. I'm stuck in shit circumstances and I'm never going to be happy. But, you know, some of the happiest people in the world are the people, you know, those cultures that have very little. And so, you know, us in the Western world, we're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing on what our neighbors have, the new car, the new house, the better job. You know, what we need to focus on is those things we already have, our families, the relationships, the connections, and that kind of stuff. That's what, you know, at the end of the day, people, when, you know, I think there was something I saw online a couple of weeks ago. It was one of those little memes about when a nurse who worked in an elderly person's home, and they said the things people talk about when they're dying, they don't talk about their achievements, they talk about moments, you know, the memories. All those things are what's important at the end of life. It's not how big your car was or how many bedrooms your house had or whether you had that knew something or so we forget about that. I think we focus too much on the material things.
Yeah, that's right. Until we get a reminder, something happens in our life with health or whatever, where suddenly we are forced to be more resilient and remind ourselves what is important. So it's like, if we can just do that first without the catastrophe having to happen. I think that's,
and kids tell us that all the time. They're like, they say, oh, can I have an ice cream? And you say, okay, you can have an ice cream. I want the big one, like they're never happy, that's like that whole, I'm never happy with what I get. I always want more. So it's teaching them that those things don't bring you happiness, the bigger ice cream or the bigger bike or that it's the things, the experiences you have, like the holidays, whether it's, we like to go camping at a dock campsite. We don't do anything fancy. It's like long drops and tents for a week. And the kids, they in no devices, and but the memories we've created from doing things like that, that's what's important,
I think one other thing on the having more topic before we wrap up is, I also think in this day and age, especially as women, it's like there are so many opportunities that it becomes quite overwhelming, because I could do this, I could do that, or worse, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And I feel like now our kids have almost grown into that, where there's so many sports, there's so many opportunities, there's so many things they could do, plus social media overly sensitized stuff going on all the time. It's like we got to just peel it back to basics, back to quality, back to actually being bored. Like, being bored is good.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's, something I find hard, working from home. My kids see me on the computer all the time, or I'm on Facebook doing my social media for the day, and they're like, they just want me. They want my attention. And, I'm having, and I read about this stuff all the time, but I still have to make a really conscious effort to stop what I'm doing, connect,
Yeah.
and that's sometimes all they need. You know, they might be going, mum, 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 and it's until I actually turn, connect, you know, what can I help you with? Yeah, put the phone down, put the book down, and actually really connect. That's what they need. That's what they will remember, you know. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself, but I just need to get one more thing done, you know, that, okay, I'm doing this for my kids, and that's what I need to remind myself. And that's, you know, and it's just, these are really making a conscious effort to do that. And it's, you know, we're role modeling that behavior to our kids, that they're not important enough that we're on our phones, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's a conscious effort all the time. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, we got to catch ourselves. Exactly. When we went away on a holiday recently, we had no Wi-Fi, and it was amazing because I loved it. I love being offline, but it was very out of character for me. But I loved it, and they loved being offline themselves. They loved me being offline, so it is a good reminder. It's interesting times that these kids are growing up in. That's for sure. Hey, so what have you got coming up that we want us to know about, and anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
Well, one thing I'm doing at the moment is there's 1 day left on my Kickstarter campaign for my new kids journal, Awesome Ends in Me. So this is the Resilience and Gratitude Journal kids version. So I'm doing a Kickstarter to manage pre-orders, and I'm also giving 50% of profits to Kids Line. So that's got 1 day left, and I had a look before, and so my initial goal was $2,500. I'm almost at 5,000. So I've almost doubled my goal. I'm just $56 off 5,000. So go across.
Okay, we're going to add the link quickly.
Yeah, I'll add the link. So there's 24 hours to go, or 26 hours to go on that, to get my Resilient Me journal. So they won't be on sale actually on my website until next month, because they're yet to be printed. So this is for pre-orders and to raise that money for Kids Line. So
that's so amazing, Nikki. That's so amazing. Congratulations on all that you're doing. I mean, it's so funny to sit and think that you were just, you wanted to have an impact, and you were creating these printables, and now it's turned into, basically you were at the forefront, I think, of the gratitude journal wave, but you keep innovating and you keep making sure that everyone's covered, and I think you're doing an amazing job. So it's an honor to interview you on my Impact Entrepreneur series.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. Remember, we used to catch up for our coffee groups with the kids in the playground when they were really little.
And now they're all grown up.
I know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. Awesome. You guys, I will put the link as well so that you can check out. Do you still have your gratitude Facebook group?
Yes, we do. So that's you can find that Awesome Inc. Gratitude group. But also I'm working with lots of small businesses as well who are using my journals as a revenue stream for their own business. So if you want to talk to me about that, please do get in touch as well.
Perfect. I think that's so good. It's an amazing win-win. I know that I've got a lot of people that want to help grow their business while also making an impact, and that's a perfect way to do it. So we'll put you in touch. Awesome. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Thanks.